Sound. Oh, the subtitles.
Smoked or drank, etc. She recorded all of this, and then she and her colleagues sat tight and waited for 7. Julianne Holt-Lunstad is a researcher at Brigham Young University, and she addressed this very question in a series of studies of tens of thousands of middle-aged people, and she looked at every aspect of their lifestyle, their diet, their exercise, their marital status, how often they went to the doctor, whether they smoked or drank, etc. She recorded all of this, and then she and her colleagues sat tight and waited for 7 years to see who would still be breathing. And of the people left standing, what reduced their chances of dying the most? That was her question. So let's now look at her data in summary, going from the least powerful predictor to the strongest. Whether you're lean or overweight, you can stop feeling guilty about this because it's only in 3rd place. How much exercise you get is next, still only a moderate predictor. Did anybody here know that having a flu vaccine protects you more than doing exercise? And getting towards the top predictors are 2 features of your social life. First, your close relationships. These are the people that you can call on for a loan if you need money suddenly, who will call the doctor if you're not feeling well, or who will take you to the hospital, or who will sit with you if you're having an existential crisis, if you're in despair. Those people, that little clutch of people, are a strong predictor, if you have them, of how long you'll live. And then something that surprised me, something that's called social integration. This means how much you interact with people as you move through your day. How many people do you talk to? And these mean both your weak and your strong bonds. So not just the people you're really close to who mean a lot to you, but like, do you talk to the guy who every day makes you your coffee? Do you talk to the postman? Do you talk to the woman who walks by your house every day with her dog? Do you play bridge or poker or have a book club? Those interactions are one of the strongest predictors of how long you live.
To get the clearest picture of these lives, we don't just send them questionnaires. We interview them in their living rooms. We get their medical records from their doctors. We draw their blood. We scan their brains. We talk to their children. We videotape them talking with their wives about their deepest concerns. And when about a decade ago we finally asked the wives if they would join us as members of the study, many of the women said, you know, it's about time. So what have we learned? What are the lessons that come from the tens of thousands of pages of information that we've generated on these lives? Well, the lessons aren't about wealth or fame or working harder and harder. The clearest message that we get from this 75-year study is this: good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. We've learned 3 big lessons about relationships. The first is that social connections are really good for us and that loneliness kills. It turns out that people who are more socially connected to family, to friends, to community are happier, they're physically healthier, and they live longer than people who are less well connected. And the experience of loneliness turns out to be toxic. People who are more isolated than they want to be from others find that they are less happy, their health declines earlier in midlife, their brain functioning declines sooner, and they live shorter lives than people who are not lonely. And the sad fact is that at any given time, more than 1 in 5 Americans will report that they're lonely. And we know that you can be lonely in a crowd and you can be lonely in a marriage. So the second big lesson that we learned is that it's not just the number of friends you have, and it's not whether or not you're in a committed relationship, but it's the quality of your close relationships that matters. It turns out that living in the midst of conflict is really bad for our health. High conflict marriages, for example, without much affection, turn out to be very bad for our health, perhaps worse than getting divorced. And living in the midst of good, warm relationships is protective. Once we had followed our men all the way into their 80s, we wanted to look back at them at midlife and to see if we could predict who was going to grow into a happy, healthy octogenarian and who wasn't. And when we gathered together everything we knew about them at age 50, it wasn't their middle-aged cholesterol levels that predicted how they were going to grow old. It was how satisfied they were in their relationships. The people who were the most satisfied in their relationships at age 50 were the healthiest at age 80. And good, close relationships seem to buffer us from some of the slings and arrows of getting old. Our most happily partnered men and women reported in their 80s that on the days when they had more physical pain, their moods stayed just as happy. But the people who were in unhappy relationships, on the days when they reported more physical pain, it was magnified by more emotional pain. And the third big lesson that we learn about relationships and our health is that good relationships don't just protect our bodies, they protect our brains. It turns out that being in a securely attached relationship to another person in your 80s is protective. That the people who are in relationships where they really feel they can count on the other person in times of need, those people's memories stay sharper longer. And the people in relationships where they feel they really can't count on the other one, those are the people who experience earlier memory decline. And those good relationships, they don't have to be smooth all the time. Some of our octogenarian couples could bicker with each other day in and day out. But as long as they felt that they could really count on the other when the going got tough, those arguments didn't take a toll on their memories.
All right, thank you, Neha.
So basically with this message and this video through the speakers, I just want to tell one thing, like, are you guys just living with your children or just living alone just because the society doesn't accept you because you're aging? I mean, not enjoying with your friends, not doing the activities, thinking that because you are old now you cannot do certain things, limiting yourselves to very small things that you cannot get up, aging is coming, I cannot walk more, I cannot walk a distance, I cannot run, I cannot cycle. So I just want to know, because I'm here to talk about social stigma. So what actually is stopping you guys from doing things? Is it just age?
No, in fact, if they had not been doing certain things and being stopped from doing certain things, after today, they will be different.
Yeah.
After what you have shown them, they will be different. Certainly, let's hope so. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the panelists who made their presentations. They have all dispersed here and there. Okay, and if you have any questions to them, you can ask them in the break later on, because we have overrun our time now. I just want to finish with one last comment. And that is, it's always a parting line is always good. That we should all believe that old is gold. And that's how we should go ahead with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have a pleasant task to perform. I now request Mr. Arun Mukherjee, Chairperson Emeritus of the Energy Environment Committee of the Bengal Chamber, to please come on the dais and present mementos to the speakers. Mr. Raju S.V. Raman, please be on the dais. To Mr. Pratik Sen. Dr. Rana Mukherjee. I now request Mr. Pallav Gupta, Chairperson of the Direct Access Committee, to please be on the dais. I request sir to present memento to Dr. Gaurav Thukral. Dr. Thukral, please. And to Dr. Aparna Lahiri Chatterjee. Dr. Aparna Lahiri Chatterjee. Thank you, sir. We now move to our next session, Legal Frame for Old Age and How Reality Meets Science Fiction, the Next Gen Innovation for Enhanced Living. I now request Ms. Anuradha Sen, Deputy Director, HelpAge India, to please be on the dais. Dr. Arpan Pal, Principal Scientist and Head Embedded Systems and Robotics, TCS Research and Innovation from TCS Consultancy Services. Sir, please be on the dais.
হ্যালো
আপনার দিয়ে দেখাবে তো?